Welcome back, wrestling WWE fans. Tonight we dive deep into one of those moments where the ring wasn't just a battlefield of athleticism, but a stage of emotions, history, and shocking betrayal. While the spotlight was on Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss in a Raw Women's Championship match on August 28, 2017, the echoes of the Bloodline's legacy lingered over the entire night, reminding us that wrestling has always been about more than titles. It's about family, power, and the sacrifices that come with it. From the very beginning, the Bloodline was built on dominance. Roman Reigns, the Usos, and their family heritage carried the weight of expectation heavier than any championship belt. Every victory was not just for themselves but for the dynasty that stretched back decades. In many ways, Sasha and Alexa's clash mirrored that unspoken struggle, two women carrying the weight of divisions, expectations, and pride. The Bloodline's story has always been one of pressure. Roman was expected to be the top guy, the Usos were tasked to uphold the family's tag dominance, and every member who entered WWE was met with the unrelenting question, can you live up to the Anoa name? That kind of pressure builds a dynasty, but it also breeds silent resentment, envy, and cracks within the foundation. Please like, share and subscribe for more WWE content. Sasha Banks, known as the Boss, had her own burdens. She had to continually prove she wasn't just a momentary star but the standard bearer for women's wrestling. Alexa Bliss, on the other hand, represented the perfect foil, cunning, ruthless, and willing to exploit emotions to gain control. Together, they painted a picture not unlike the internal wars within the Bloodline, competition mixed with betrayal. As the match began, fans were captivated by the intensity. Sasha's technical brilliance clashed with Alexa's cunning strategies. Every near fall wasn't just a gasp-worthy moment, it was a reminder of the delicate balance of power in WWE, much like the balance inside the Bloodline's House of Dominance. The crowd's energy surged with every strike, echoing the same electricity that surrounds Roman Reigns whenever he enters the arena. You could almost feel the parallels, the match in the ring and the unspoken war brewing backstage within one of wrestling's most legendary families. Alexa Bliss, ever the manipulator, worked Sasha's weaknesses, grinding her down with precision. Sasha, resilient as ever, rose with fire in her heart, fighting back with grit and determination. It was a story of struggle, of power constantly shifting, the same way the Bloodline's leadership has shifted over time, from the shadows of their elders to Roman seizing the throne as tribal chief. And then, as the match reached its boiling point, a shocking climax unfolded. Sasha Banks, seemingly in control, was blindsided. Alexa capitalized, delivering the DDT and securing the pinfall. The arena gasped, stunned by the twist. In that very moment, just like in the Bloodline saga, trust was shattered and vulnerability was exposed. This was more than a loss, it was a betrayal of momentum, a reminder that no matter how strong or talented you are, one lapse in judgment, one unseen strike, can dismantle everything you've built. The same lesson the Bloodline would soon experience when silent resentment turned into violent rebellion. Backstage whispers painted an even darker picture. Rumors swirled that not everyone in the Bloodline was aligned with Roman's vision. Some were growing tired of the wait, tired of being pawns in the family's chess game. The Sasha-Alexa match became symbolic, a foreshadowing of cracks turning into earthquakes. Much like Alexa seizing her moment, whispers hinted that members of the Bloodline were waiting for the perfect time to attack, not physically at first, but emotionally, questioning Roman's authority, his motives, his grip over the family. When the attack did come, it mirrored the shock Sasha endured in the ring. A member of the family, someone once trusted, lashed out with fury, shattering the illusion of unity. The betrayal was sudden, ruthless, and left the dynasty shaken to its very core. The parallels were too haunting to ignore. Just as Sasha lay on the mat questioning what had just happened, the Bloodline's legacy found itself questioning who could be trusted, who truly stood for the family, and who was only standing for themselves. In the aftermath of that Raw Women's Championship match, Alexa Bliss solidified her reign, and Sasha Banks was left to rebuild, to prove herself again. The Bloodline, too, after the internal strike, was forced to reassemble, but nothing could ever feel the same again. Trust once broken is never fully restored. Backstage sources whispered that Roman's demeanor shifted after the betrayal. His silence grew heavier, his authority harsher. The Usos, once the backbone of his reign, found themselves caught between loyalty and independence. Just like Sasha, they too had to decide whether to keep fighting under someone else's rule or carve out their own legacy. The emotional toll was undeniable. The Bloodline's story was no longer about dominance alone, it was about survival within their own circle. In the same way, Sasha Banks' journey after losing to Alexa Bliss became less about titles and more about resilience and proving her spirit unbreakable. WWE fans couldn't look away. Every move in the ring became a reflection of something deeper happening behind the curtain. Every family bond we thought was unshakable suddenly felt fragile. Every betrayal cut deeper because it wasn't just storyline, it was rooted in decades of blood and history. What made that night so unforgettable wasn't just Alexa Bliss's victory or Sasha Banks' resilience. It was the way it mirrored the raw, painful truths about power, family, and betrayal in WWE's most legendary dynasty. The Bloodline was forever changed after that shocking attack, just as the women's division was forever changed after that Raw Women's Championship clash. Both moments reminded us that dominance invites enemies, and trust is the most fragile currency in wrestling. Behind the cameras, wrestlers whispered about fear of being the next target, fear of being replaced, fear of carrying a legacy that feels more like a burden than an honor. For Sasha, that fear turned into determination. For the Bloodline, that fear festered into silence and suspicion. Even today, when we look back, the echoes of that Raw in 2017 feel like a haunting prelude. A women's title match became more than history, it became a mirror into the soul of WWE's most powerful family. And as fans, we learned a hard truth. Titles come and go, victories fade into the archives. But betrayal, broken trust, and blood, those scars never heal. In the end, the Sasha Banks vs Alexa Bliss match on August 28, 2017, was more than a championship bout. It was a story of resilience, deception, and shattered trust. It was the night where one wrestler's downfall reflected the cracks in a dynasty. For the Bloodline, the attack left a mark that still lingers, a reminder that family is not always unity, and power never comes without a price. As we close, we remember that wrestling is more than storylines, it's family legacies written in sweat, sacrifice, and sometimes betrayal. And when betrayal comes from within, it cuts the deepest. Because at the end of the day, when the lights fade and the crowd goes silent, all that remains is the bond of blood, and the scars of broken trust.